Sate. What a good episode. What a good episode of Taizai. Even though we didn't have our boy Escanor, at the very least, we got some good setup and exposition for the upcoming events for the anime. So we got some nice Diane service. We got some greatness when it comes to Denzel versus Fraudrin. Overall, this was a pretty enjoyable episode. So to get right into it, let's get the Diane stuff out of the way, and then I will dive into the Denzel and Fraudrin stuff, because I know that's going to be what everybody's going to be talking about when it comes to this episode. So to start off, though, Diane, obviously, in some ways, she is training. We can see with her dancing, she is becoming molded with the earth. She's getting in line and balanced with the world itself, and she's able to just kind of think and see without really even needing to have her eyes open. She even demonstrates this throughout the episode, which shows that, in her own way, she is actually undergoing training to get stronger. Matrona is making her stronger. And so, that right there shows that she's not using the forceful mechanics or different training methods that, she did in the past. As we know, Matrona, she was constantly being very brutal towards Diane. Always, hitting her and all that, make her have an iron body, punching her, making her go out in live combat, fight to the death or whatever. Different stuff like that. But it's obvious from the way Matrona is tackling the situation, she has calmed down a lot, especially when it comes to teaching Diane. So, Matrona. She, obviously, she had a huge wake-up call. A wake-up call to where her entire life, her perspective on life itself, was just changed completely after what happened to her. We could see after the wound she received, the poison, her leg was completely lost. She has a peg leg throughout this episode, which shows that, once again, that's just a constant reminder of what she lost thanks to the way she acted. And it's kind of ironic that Matrona, she was saved by the very people that she wanted Diane to kill. Because if we back up to the flashback that, was in the past of Diane, when she was, undergoing training when she was still with the Giant Clan, we had it to where she let some of the savage people just leave. Some humans just wander off and leave, didn't want to kill them. And Matrona was very furious, upset that Diane did not finish them off. But the thing is, what's very ironic is that these very people that Diane showed, kindness to, mercy, they came around and showed mercy to Matrona and saved her, which just changed her life. The very people she wanted dead saved her. That's crazy to think about. And then, eventually, that turned into where she fell in love, obviously. She now has someone she deeply cares about, and she also watches over the dude's 2 children, and thinks of these 2 children like her own children. So, it's a very sweet scene. It just shows that Matrona, she's no longer the brute she was. She's very calm, but at the same time, she does have her strength. She's clearly not weakened at all. I mean, we could see how she just eradicated a demon like it was nothing because of her fury, and so it does show that she is, even though she lost a leg, she probably isn't like how she used to be in terms of her leg work because she lost a leg. She definitely is very strong after what she demonstrated in that moment alone. Now, speaking of that, though, and Diane's training and all of this, the setup for this is for the upcoming tournament. Apparently, you have it to where 2 of the 10 Commandments, they decide to set this tournament to where whoever competes in it, if you win, you get any wish you want. And the reason for this is that the 10 Commandments are like, I'm too lazy. I want strong souls to come towards me for, I can have them here. I don't have to go after weak souls, gathering 1,000 souls. I'd rather just get a couple of really powerful souls and eat them to get my power back. So that's kind of what their objective is right now. They're just wanting to get the strong fighters in one area before they can get rid of them, but also get their souls as well. So it's setting up for a tournament arc. It's kind of like re-establishing an arc we got in Season 1 of Taizai. You remember the big tournament and all that when Diane destroyed and obliterated with the giant boulder, like mountain or whatever, on the entire tournament? Well, that's pretty much what's going on. It's kind of like a continuation of that in the same area, but now the 10 Commandments are controlling that area. So Matrona, she's going over there to figure out a way to save the children for they don't die, but also get any wish she wants, and Diane is coming along. So this does mean that Diane and Matrona are probably going to bump in to Meliodas' group, since Meliodas, Gilthunder, and all that, they want to go to the tournament because they're very interested, they're excited, which I love that lot about this episode. I really love Gilfunder's reaction. I was actually expecting something like that to be cut from this episode, and I'm very happy that, you know, it was added. A1 Pictures decided to add it with this episode, with how the man was speaking inside of his mind. He's like, I really want to go, but I can't say that and all that. It'd be very embarrassing. I'm just like, I love my boy Gilfunder. He's just such a fun character, and seeing how he reacted and Meliodas, you know, was letting him go and all that, I'm like, yes, this is gonna be great, because Gilfunder, he doesn't usually have a whole lot of time to shine, and I'm glad that, you know, he's getting time to shine now, especially with this upcoming arc. We get some clarification to, a Ten Commandments. Someone that has been around almost since the very beginning of the series. Gowther. It is revealed by Fraudrin himself that he is a substitute, and Gowther is a Ten Commandments. It was quite the reveal. I remember when I was reading this in the manga and all that, we all had our suspicions that there was something off with Gowther, like he's very strong, and, you know, he's definitely created by someone very powerful, but when you get this revelation that he was a part of the Ten Commandments, many started to speculate, like, whoa, are you telling me that this man was potentially created by, like, the ruler of the Demon Clan or whatever, the king of the Demon Clan? That's what many were speculating, myself included, when this information first came out, because it's just like, for Gowther to be a Ten Commandment, that must mean that he's very high up. Someone incredibly powerful had to make this man for him to be at the level he is at. So, all along, Gowther has been a Ten Commandment, which does make sense when you think about it, because Gowther, in terms of his combat capabilities, he's pretty OP. I mean, think about what he did to Fraudrin in, you know, Season 1. He wrecked Fraudrin like it was nothing. Got into his mind, obliterated him. And then he destroyed Diane as well. So, I mean, Gowther is definitely not a weakling by any means. He has had a lot of setup and foreshadowing to this revelation. And finally, that payoff is here. For instance, now you know the truth about Gowther. He is a Ten Commandment. And apparently, he lost all of his memories, thanks to the commandment that he had. His commandment was selflessness. So obviously, if we're following the rules of, you know, the commandments, if you are probably selfish while you have that commandment, you're going to, you know, have something bad done to you. In this case, he lost everything. He lost his memory and all that. So he no longer remembers anything of what he once was. He got afflicted by his own commandment. Which, speaking of commandments, let's talk about Grey Road for a second. So, Grey Road, the translation that I saw for this segment of Grey Road when, like, his commandment was revealed, Grey Road, his commandment is literally, thou shall not kill. That's pretty much what his commandment is. So, if you were a little bit confused about it, basically, if you kill in Grey Road's presence, you will be afflicted by his commandment. So, yeah, that's a big thing I wanted to point out. Now, what this means is that if someone doesn't die, that means that obviously you're not going to be afflicted by the commandment. Just FYI there. So that does explain certain things with Fraudrin for you anime onlys. If you're speculating or wondering about that, there you go. But I mean, yeah, that's the reason why Denzel and all that and Death Pierce, they allowed Fraudrin and Grey Road to leave, because if anyone killed in Grey Road's presence, it's done. So Grey Road couldn't have killed anyone. If he would have killed anyone there, he would have been afflicted by his own commandment, which we have seen already done to go on. I mean, think about what happened to him in the previous episode. Escanor made the man literally lie, and he got turned to stone. So, obviously, any commandment there, they will also be afflicted by if they do anything. So, there you go. So, Grey Road can't kill anyone, which is why he didn't kill anyone at the beginning of the episode, like when, you know, he snuck into where Denzel was. That's why he told them to go off and do their own thing, because if he would have killed them, something bad would have happened. We don't know exact repercussions yet, because that hasn't yet to be stated, but yeah, that's just some food for thought for you anime onlys. Now, speaking of Denzel and Fraudrin for a second, I was very blown away by how good that scene was done with this episode. The Denzel and Fraudrin scene, I still prefer the manga equivalent, but the anime really did a good job with that little action sequence with, you know, Denzel and Fraudrin having a clash of weapons and stuff. I'm like, yo, that's pretty epic. I like this. And just seeing how they were fighting and stuff, and then, you know, how the sword went inside the shoulder of Fraudrin as well. I'm just like, yo, this is some cool stuff and all that from this episode, and I want more of it. So, quality in terms of the action part for the episode, pretty spot on. I honestly don't have much of a problem with it at all. Now, since we're on this topic, though, also, Fraudrin hinted at something I do want to point out. He said that, even if I was to keep fighting, I feel like you have something else hidden behind your sleeve. And so Fraudron's like, look, I feel like if I was to continue this, then you might pull out something that's even scarier. So Denzel is being hinted at to having something very powerful, something that definitely could scare even a Ten Commandment. But once again, as an FYI, now we know that Fraudron is a substitute Ten Commandment. He is not a true official Ten Commandment, for clarification. But that's pretty much about it for this week's episode of Taizai. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about this week's episode. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Be honest. How do you feel about everything that happened? How do you feel about the art and animation? And also, how do you feel about the lack of, praise the sun, Escanor with this episode? With that, I love you guys. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. Chibi out.